What? How's my day? Oh, well, I guess it was okay. You know, just the normal grind. I mean, you know, doing some digging, placing blocks, all that sort of thing. I guess the hard part, though, is just the clowns I work with. I mean, all they ever do is take. They just keep asking for emeralds after emeralds. I mean, okay, yeah, I get some good stuff out of it, but boy, does anyone else ever care what's going on? Oh, and then all the people that are always after you, like regular zombies. Ugh, I just can't deal with them anymore. And then, then there's those creepers. They always show up at just the wrong time. And all they do is leave big, gaping holes over everything. I can't stand them. Sometimes I just don't know what to do. But what do you think? Wow. It's like you always know exactly the right thing to say. Thanks. Good talk. Hello all my fellow noobsters, it's me, Texas PK, and I've been down here in my root cellar of the farmhouse just checking out all the crops as they're coming in, and it's doing great, I might say. The sorting system's keeping up, all the farms are producing great, except I've noticed we're missing a couple things. We're missing pumpkins and watermelons. I have a few that I've collected manually up to this point, but not nearly enough, and so we're going to do something about that today. We're going to go and build an automatic pumpkin and melon farm. And I think I've got exactly the perfect place to put it. So let's go ahead and head over there and I'll show you real quick where it is that we're going to be building this farm today. Alright, if we come around here on the other side of our potato and carrot farm, I think this spot right here is going to be perfect. Just kind of a nice spot to put a bunch of pumpkins and melons, except the idea that I have for this build isn't one that I've really seen anywhere else, at least not that I know of. Instead of laying it out kind of long and flat, I'm going to go vertical, but that's not really going to fit into our decor now, is it? So what I think I'm going to do is up on the surface I'll just put a nice pumpkin and melon patch just for show, but we're going to dig down into the ground and put the automatic farm underground and have it feed into the same water stream that the other farms are feeding into. And so I think that's what we're going to do right now. We'll dig a hole and I'll clear out a space in order to put in the automatic farm. And once that's ready, I'll come back with you and we'll get to work on the farm. Alright, so the room's all dug out. I have about a 7 by 15 square area, and I believe it's about 10 blocks high. I'll be adjusting it as I go if I need more room as I head up with my build. But right now I'm ready to start putting in the different layers that I'm going to have for my pumpkin and melon farm. My plan is to have 2 rows of pumpkins and 2 rows of melons, and if that ends up not being enough, I can always expand later. I can either extend out lengthwise or double up side by side in order to get more pumpkins and melons. Let's get started putting in the farm. As you can see, I started putting in part of the floor, but I didn't want to get too far before I started putting in the actual farm, so I know exactly where to put everything. So even with the floor platform, we want to have a row of dirt that we will then turn eventually into farmland. And so I'm going to just come across here, and I've mentioned this in previous videos. Whenever I'm going to be putting something where there might be some digging, I like to put some sort of non-naturally occurring blocks in order to make the floor so that we don't accidentally dig it up later when it's important. Now this is where all the pumpkins and melons are going to be planted, or on this row here on the dirt. What I'm going to need to do is to till some of the land, and I have my diamond hoe ready to go. I also have my pumpkin and melon seeds. I'm going to plant 7 per row, and I'm going to start with the melons. Now you don't have to have a water source when you are planting pumpkins and melons if you can plant them before the ground goes arid. So I'm going to plant them just real quick and go every other spot. And there we go, 7 pumpkin plants planted. Now I am not a patient person. I'm not going to wait for these to grow. You could wait for them to grow if you'd like to, but I am not going to wait. So let's go ahead and turn some of this bone into bone meal. And I'm going to bone meal each one of these plants in order to get them to full maturity, so I don't have to wait for them to start producing pumpkins later. Usually it takes 2 or 3 applications of bone meal in order to get them up to size. Now that I have all of my pumpkins full grown, I need to then come back in and put in some observers, some pistons, some redstone dust, and some solid blocks. So let me go ahead and get those in place, and I'll show you how they lay out. The way it works is pretty straightforward. We're going to take an observer and watch the stem of the plant. Whenever a pumpkin becomes full grown, it will bend the stem and either place it to the left or the right, and the observer will then detect that and put out an output signal. Now, in order to put that, we're going to just go and have each one facing each one of the pumpkin plants. And then on the other side, we'll place the pistons. So when they grow, the observer will activate our pistons to knock the pumpkin into our water stream, which we'll put in once the rest of the farm is done. Now, in order for this observer to actually activate these pistons, we need to have a redstone signal coming from the back of them into this block. So when the observer detects the plant growth, it will power this block, which will passively power the redstone dust on either side, which will then extend just these 2 pistons. While it might be better somehow to only have the piston extend where there is only a pumpkin or a melon, there's no real way to do that without having this space empty. I'd rather just give it an extra chance for them to grow, so I'm going to go ahead and place that in this arrangement here. Now that these are all in place, all that's left is to wait for them to grow, but of course 1 row is not enough. 7 pumpkins, yeah, I probably don't need a lot, but it's not going to do. We're putting in 1 more row of pumpkins and then 2 rows of watermelon. So let me go ahead, now that you've seen how the first layer goes, each one after that is the same. So I'll go ahead and put them in, and I'll get back with you as soon as they're in place. Alright, so now that all the plants are bone mealed and fully grown, all the observers, pistons, redstone, everything is in place, now it's time to put in our water stream to get all of the drops to our storage area. Now to put in the water stream, I'm going to want to use my packed ice in order to make sure that it just gets all the speed it needs to get to the end. I temporarily had put in some floor using some stone brick, but we're going to replace that. I like to waterlog a staircase as my water source for this. I think it makes it look a little more clean. Whoa, that ice is really slippery. Let me go ahead and put in all the ice before I go back and add the water so it doesn't push me along. Now what I've done is I've had it gradually stair step down so that every 6 or 7 blocks it goes down 1 level. That way when we place our water source in this stair, it will keep going without having to put additional water sources along the way. Now when it gets to the end, what I'm going to have it do is have a soul sand bubble elevator going all the way up to bring it to our other water stream, because right now we're at level 52, the other one is, I believe, at level 63. So we're going to need to have it go upward, and the best way to do that is with a bubble elevator. So I need to get some more water so I can create a water source here and build our elevator. Now if I did my calculations correct, this should bring us right up to, yes, right up to the corner where the potatoes and carrots turn the corner and head into our storage system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to do some moving around, I think. Let's see what we can do here. I'm going to take the water out of this step, which means there's going to be some things not making it quite there, but whoa. And I'll replace this with some ice as well. And I'll come back and make this look a little nicer in a minute. But right now I just want to get it in. Alright, so now everything's in place. The other water stream's back to working again. But now we need to create a bubble elevator. In order to do that, we need water sources all the way from the bottom to the top. And we really have only two options. One is to go and take a water bucket, place one every single way up from the bottom to the top. But I prefer to do it the easier way, which is to just plant a bunch of kelp at the bottom, and it turns flowing water into water sources. And then with that, I can just go ahead, get rid of them all, and then replace this dirt with soul sand, and it should create a bubble elevator for us. And there we go. Let's give it a little quick test. There they go. Now, while we were working on this, there was a few pumpkins and melons that were harvested by the machine. So let's go ahead and just dump them in and see if it works. Now, I believe there was only like 22 or 23 pumpkins in there. Whoop. Would help if I could throw straight. I'm going to follow it. And there they went around the corner. It works. And let's see. No, I didn't have enough to actually filter down. They're still filling in the filter. There it was. It was 22. Now it's 24. And the melons went through as well. I don't remember how many there were, but I'm sure that if the pumpkins went through, the melons did it as well. We saw them turn the corner. So it's working. All I need to do now is put in some finishing touches, make an easier way to access it, then drop it through a hole, and then it'll all be done. So let's head over there and take care of it right now. Alright, I've been thinking, and I think the best way to get access to this is going to be use the same basement that's underneath our potato and carrot crop farm, and just dig a little tunnel that brings us over into the area next to the pumpkin and melons. So let me show you how we're going to do that. It's pretty easy. First off, let's go ahead and get out of the rain. And we had put a trap door in here, if you remember. I think what we're going to do is this should be roughly the center of the pumpkin and melon farm. So let me just go ahead and we'll just go ahead and dig a tunnel and see where it takes us. And we can make some adjustments if it's not quite right. Oh, there it is right there. Okay, great. This is perfect. So let me backfill this a little bit because I don't want to be up at the top of the farm. I want to be lower down. So let me just backfill that up. And we'll dig kind of a stairway down right here. And I'll even come back in with some staircases in a minute to make it an easier journey up and down. Oh, that's about perfect. Look at that. Okay, so let me come in just a little bit higher. And I think I kind of need to put some torches here. Don't want anything spawning behind me when I'm not looking. Yeah, that's perfect. So let's go ahead and just come across here. And there we go. Easy access to our pumpkin and melon farm. Like I said, I think we'll put in some staircases just to make it an easier walk up and down, where it doesn't feel like I'm jumping and bumping my head. Who wants a headache when they go to check the pumpkins? There we go. Now the only problem right now with what I have is that occasionally the pumpkins and melons will get pushed off by the piston so hard that they'll land on the floor here. As a matter of fact, one of the ones I found in the chest was from up on this level here. So what we need to do is put in a wall. I like to be able to still see what's going on, So I'm going to put in glass walls. You can use whatever block you want. There is no reason glass works any better other than the fact that you can actually see what's going on the other side. And I really like being able to see what's going on when the farm is working. So let's go ahead and put that in right now. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. And it's fully operational. Everything's working the way it should. I might come back, add a few little finishing touches to this room, maybe make the walls look a little nicer, but I think this is exactly what I need to have and what I was thinking of. All that's left now is to just wait for these pumpkins and melons to grow. But I think while I'm waiting to see how well it works, I'm going to go up top and put in our decorative pumpkins and melons. And then I'll get back with you and let you know how it's actually working out. Alright, so I have our little pumpkin and melon patch done up here on the surface, and I've been up here waiting for them to grow. It's been maybe 30 minutes or so, and not only laying it out and making it look nice, but waiting for them to fully develop and look good. And as you can see, I've put in some nice little decorative lanterns, and I grew a tree over there in the background, and I put in a few path blocks, things like that, just to make it look kind of nice. Maybe somewhere you'd want to hang out and look at the stars in the evening, if that's the sort of thing you like to do. But now I think it's time for us to go take a look at how our pumpkin and melon farm has been producing. Like I said, it's only been about 30 minutes for them to grow, so I don't expect a huge quantity. I'd be happy with a couple stacks of melons, and I'd be happy with this getting up to, I don't know, maybe 20 pumpkins. Oh, cool, look at this. We've got 41 up here. That means that we've maxed out our filters. That means we now have an additional 5. So, yeah, that comes out to about 20 pumpkins. That's not bad. So I'm happy with that. And over here on our melons, we have an additional 2 stacks above what we had before. There we go. And it's even going even more. So yeah, pumpkins and melons don't grow super fast, and I only have 14 of each plant, so I'm pretty happy with that. I plan on doing a full tutorial on how to build them and doing grate tests and all that sort of thing in the near future. But I think this is going to do it for what I need. Like I said, I don't really have a huge need for pumpkins and melons, but I would like to have them once I start trading with my farmer villagers. So it would be kind of nice to have them as well. And like I said, if I ever want more, I can always double up the farm and expand it so I have more in order to trade. But I think that's going to do it for today. I really like how this turned out. I always enjoy making automatic farms, and pumpkin melon farms are no exception. So if you enjoyed yourself, make sure you do all the things you're supposed to do, and I hope to see you again in the next one. But until next time, this is Texas BK. Be good to each other. Bye.